let's
Thank
dive
you.
right into talking about Greenville. So, first of all, where is Greenville? Tell us a little bit about it.
Greenville is in South Carolina. It's considered within the upstate, so kind of the northwest corner of South Carolina. It is a fantastic city. Greenville County has about 550,000 people, has a bunch of different nationalities and people that come here. It is a fantastic city.
That's awesome. And I suspect I know this answer, but just in case no one else does, are there a lot of people moving to the Greenville area?
Oh, geez. Well, I just moved here in July. So I chose Greenville for a variety of reasons. And I mean, they say that 30 people are moving here every day, which to me is just
Wow.
insane. And there's a lot of reasons why. I mean, Greenville is a fantastic family-oriented city. It has so much to do, from outdoor recreation to theater to plays to ballet to events like every Friday in the summertime, they have events downtown, live concerts, free concerts. The city planners just did a knockout job of making the downtown area just so fantastic and so really truly magical. When I came down to the downtown area for the first time, all I could say is, this is a vibe. Like, this is a vibe. But even thinking of like the downtown area, there's so much outside. Every little city has their own little downtown. And so every city has its own little feel of what it has. So, for Christmas, for instance, you can go to every little city, Greer, Simpsonville, Anderson, and you'd have different city events in their little quaint downtowns. So
I
people are
love
loving it.
that. And
Mhm.
is that why you decided to move there? Was it the culture or was it another reason?
Well, truly, I mean, I'm from San Diego. I moved up to Bend, Oregon 11 years ago, met my husband, had my kids, but my husband is from Florida and his family lives in Roswell, Georgia, and in Woodstock, Georgia, and all in New York City, all over the East Coast. And so when I met my husband, he had said to me, we're going to be on the East Coast. This is what I want to end up doing. And I used to I would laugh in his face and I'd be like, no way. Cause I'm San Diego,
Yeah.
raised. I just thought the West Coast was the best place ever. I could never see myself on the East Coast. And pretty much I took that trip out to Boston and just started it opened my eyes a little bit to the history of the East Coast and what's out here. And I started thinking more empathetically about my husband and his desires and thought, okay, so I started researching all from like Virginia all the way to Florida for cities that this West Coast native would feel comfortable in. And I'm a master researcher, I say, and I landed on Greenville. And from there on, it was no question where we would go. I mean, we're constantly on top 10 lists, best list. I mean, I just did a reel on my Facebook about how the city of Greenville wrote to Hallmark about how we should be in a Hallmark movie, because literally
Oh,
we have publication about how Greenville is like a Hallmark city, and it truly is. When you walk downtown, it's just so magical. It's like the best way to put it. It's just a
that's
great
great.
place. Mm-hmm.
Well, and in leading up to this, I looked up some information about Greenville and I was looking at pictures and I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous. It looks like there's a lot of rivers there. Is that correct?
Tons of rivers, lots of lakes. We have Lake Hartwell, which is a huge lake out towards Anderson. It's a college town. We're right by the mountain range here, the Blue Ridge Mountain Range. So within an hour, we have mountainous towns.
Which
We're
is a big deal for a Californian.
Oh yeah. Oh, seriously. I can't do flat. I love
No.
I love views and I love water. I mean, so to me, I always have to be somewhere near where I'm going to see water because it's
Yeah.
an important part of my life. Um, we're 2.5 hours from Atlanta, an hour and a half from Charlotte. So you have pretty good sized city here, but if you want like major metropolitan, you can go to either of those cities and you're right in between. So it's just a phenomenal place. And as far as beauty, I mean, coming from San Diego is a beautiful city, right?
Right. Of course.
But Greenville, oh my God, like I have never experienced trees like how they're here. I mean, I remember I was friends in San Diego with this gal from the West or from the East Coast, and she was like, "There's no trees here." And I was like, "What are you talking about? There's trees all around." And when I got here, I understood what she said, because when we're driving down 2-lane streets, you know, in our area, they're canopied with trees, and it's just there's nothing like that to drive through roads. And this is just like a drive to the grocery store.
Yeah. And you get it all the time. It's like a storybook.
Yeah, and then and when in the fall, when the leaves are changing, that's a whole other, like,
Yeah.
experience, because it's
Oh,
like
you mean real
vibrant.
seasons?
Yeah, we have 4 seasons, and that's what some of the things that people always like to talk me out of my visions. I Everyone's like, "Oh, it's gonna be so humid, you're gonna hate it." The humidity was fine. You know, it's hot, but where is it not hot, you know?
Right.
I It's always hot in the summer. The humidity, and what do people do when it's hot? You stay inside.
Yeah.
You stay inside on air conditioning, whether it's dry heat, humid heat,
Right.
any kind of heat, you revert to going inside. And so that's how it is. And people are like, "Oh, that's all you're going to have." And I'm like, "No, we have 4 seasons. I mean, it's predicted to even possibly have a dusting of snow here." So
Okay. So that was going to be one of my questions. So it snows a little bit.
a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. That's
Last year,
perfect.
I think they got like 2 inches, and the town just like shuts down.
I'm sure it's beautiful though. Once in a great while, we get a little bit of a dusting. And yeah, I mean, people halt. There's
Yeah.
nothing happening anymore. But also, it is so unbelievably beautiful because it's something you don't get to see all the time.
Mhm.
Oh,
Exactly.
that's amazing.
I
Okay,
know.
so yes, it is beautiful. I'm super excited about that. And that's amazing. So another question that I have, because of course people don't just move for beauty. So what is the job market like there? Where are
Job
people going for jobs?
Yeah, the job market's awesome. We have a lot of corporate companies here. We have Michelin, we have BMW, and the really cool thing with BMW is they have a lot of other auxiliary companies that make the parts for BMW here. BMW is also building their electric vehicle plant here. It's going to be in Woodruff. So
Okay.
that's going to really stabilize our not like our real estate market and economy, just because businesses, corporations are coming here in droves.
Oh yeah.
And so that's just something super exciting to know. Woodruff is just one of the towns, one of the cities in Greenville County,
Okay.
which I would say it's in Spartanburg County. So it's like we have Greenville here and then Spartanburg. We share an airport. So I consider that's part of the upstate. Spartanburg has a little bit better taxes over there. So I think that's why BMW is choosing to go there. But as far as job growth, it's on the up and up. Our average price for a home is going up year after year. Our population growth is going up. There's a city in just a little bit north of Greenville called Travelers Rest. I was doing population growth on that, and that grew by 50%,
Wow.
which 2.5 is, you know, a typical growth rate is like what you want to see. And I was doing the math, and I calculated it 5 times. I'm like, this cannot be true. I'm doing it wrong. I'm doing it wrong. But it's true because it's a little bit closer to the Blue Ridge Mountains. You still have all the accessibility of Greenville and all the, you know, shops and everything that they want, or that you would want from a major city, but you have kind of like more remote country living. And people are loving it out there. You have more lakes as well. And it's just it's cool. It's cool to see. And that's something that I always counsel my clients on is if you're looking to move to a new place, is look at the population growth. You want to be moving to an area where the population is growing and the
Yeah.
city is thriving.
Of course.
And one of the things the city does is for their tourist department is they're really focused on tourism. So they're really marketing towards tourism. They have a whole like PDF all about how our hotels are booked higher than national averages, how many people are coming to the city for recreation, for entertainment, and literally for the beauty. It's
Yeah,
insane. The
that's
city
great.
the city is insane. I chose it because I had done a little bit of research. And then when I got here, I was kind of blown away about even like the more I saw just being here.
Yeah. Well, and I know that we talked about this briefly, but I was reading through the news this morning and Greenville shows up on the National Association of Realtors
Mhm.
top 10 metros to look out for in 2023. And that's a huge, huge indicator of the
Mhm.
growth in that area. And of course,
Mhm.
seeing it in the news and being publicly known, that's going
Mhm.
to just grow it tenfold just on that caliber alone. So that's
Absolutely.
fantastic. And
Mhm.
let's talk about affordability. So, what is your average price point? I know we're talking about a large area,
Mhm.
so let's break it down a little bit. But what's the average price point, and what can someone get into in the sense of a starter home?
Yeah, there's still homes under 200,000.
Oh my gosh,
I know, it's
it's
crazy.
just
They're not, I
crazy.
mean, and they're not like they're perfect starter homes,
Yeah.
because you don't need a grand home on acreage or anything like that. But you can get into either our homes in the 200,000 and under range. Um,
Okay.
the average price point is 356, and that went up by 12% from last year. Um,
And what can you get for a home that's in the 350s? What does that look like? Paint that
It's like
picture.
yeah, it's like a 4 bedroom, 2 bath, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 2,000 square foot home, in a tract home
Okay.
community, maybe on like 0.15 acre lot. Um, a very
Okay.
a nice, in my opinion, a really nice house. When
Yeah.
we came out here to look for homes, we were in that we were looking in that 330 range, and the homes were great. I mean, especially coming from the West Coast and knowing what we have out there,
Yeah.
it looked similar to what like the 800, $700,000 homes, maybe 500, 600. I haven't been out there in a while, but I can,
Well, I'm from
you
the
know,
Bay Area, so we don't have
okay.
that price point. Yeah.
I know. I know.
Yeah,
We
and
ended
I
up
mean, that's
with the
go ahead.
oh, I said we ended up not buying in that price point, but it's just you can get a lot
Yeah.
for the money.
Yeah,
And
especially coming from a higher price point area.
absolutely. And I think that that's what is driving up some of the prices as well, is that people are coming in with perception is everything, and
Of course.
perspective, I should say. And they're like, oh my God, this is a steal, and they're
Yeah.
willing to pay these higher price points, um, because they know what we could get on the West Coast
Yeah.
is, I mean,
Well,
I
and
can't,
it's interesting because that's actually for people that are local, that are used to local prices. That's a reason that a lot of people don't want West Coasters coming in, or East Coasters, the direct most expensive markets. They don't want them coming in because they're paying no problem, right? And they're inflating the market big time.
oh
But the
yeah.
locals are like, hold on.
Mhm,
We haven't come in with West Coast money, right? And we
mhm.
still need to buy a home. So, are you seeing any kind of animosity with that? Is that something that you see at all, or is it pretty much everybody's cool and in South Carolina, anyone's friendly anyway?
Well, I'm very empathetic to that. And so one of the first things that I do is if I know that someone is from a native to the area, that's the first thing I ask them. How do you
Yeah,
feel about the growth? Because I want to make sure that they're going to eventually find out that I'm not a native. And so I want them to know that I'm here to contribute to this community. And I empathize with how they feel things have going, because with the population growth comes a lot of congestion. The roads weren't built to manage that amount of people. So that is produced a lot of the animosity was there, probably because of that, because they can't flow through the city like how they used to. So there's going to always be, you're always going to see people working on the roads and talking about the roads. For some reason, the roads aren't as well maintained as well. So that's that. But overall, the people are kind. You know, they're sweet. They're welcoming, because along with the growth comes opportunity. And I think that that's what a lot of people see is, you know, new businesses, new jobs. There's constantly a new restaurant opening up. They just, you know, I think I saw like 10 new businesses are coming into downtown. And just so much opportunity for what to do around town, and how you can contribute to the area is there. So I think it could be a mixture. Maybe in their heart they're not super excited, but they're they're really sweet about it anyways.
That's great. It's just nice to know if you're relocating somewhere, you want to make sure that you're being welcomed at least to a certain extent, right? So that's really good to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. And because there are so many new people coming to the area, a lot of people cling to each other. You know, they're like, "Oh, you're newer," you know, because a lot of the growth has happened within the last years, you know. And so, like just on my street, I have on Honduras, Brazilian, people from Chicago, Florida, Ohio, Colombian, people from Colombia, India. I mean, people from all over the world are here.
That's great.
Which is something I haven't experienced as much. So that was a really, really cool thing for me.
Yeah, and that's a great sign too. So with all of these people moving in, and with you ranking on the list of the top 10s and all these wonderful things, are you still seeing a little bit of a correction in the market? What does the real estate market actually look like right now? And again, this is December 2022. We're just about to head into 2023. So keep in mind that this is going to be very much specific to where we're at right now, but I love to touch on this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, historically, this is always a low time, like you said, but our numbers are still up. I mean, we have 3 months supply of inventory, which means, you know, how many homes it would take to sell out in 3 months. And it's still a seller's market. I mean, if the prices if the homes are priced right, they're selling in a weekend.
That's amazing.
You can see, I mean, there are homes that sit, but it's all related to the price, and we're still up. I mean, like I said, the average price is $356, and that's up 12.5%. So even in a time when historically prices are going down, we're still going up. And I think it directly correlates to the fact that we're consistently on those top 10 lists. And then when people get here and visit, they're just blown away.
Yeah, it's quality of life, and it's affordability, and a strong job market, right? I mean, those three, it's like the trifecta of a good relocation spot, right? So you guys are hitting all of those. I'm not surprised at all. The big markets that are getting hit, I completely understand. They overinflated, right? So if you have a steady growth, you're not going to see as big of a hit. So that's great. Congratulations on that. I know you didn't really have anything to do with it, but congratulations. It's good to be in a place that still to this day has a steady market and is, if not growing, right? It's a fantastic place to be. So what advice would you give to someone that's relocating to there? So let's say I'm like, hey, California buddy, let's get me out to Greenville with my family. What do we need to know, and where do we start?
Absolutely. That's an excellent question. I think having a vision is just so important to knowing where you're going. And so I think sitting down with your family and collecting exactly what your vision is going to be. When we moved here, we wanted a house that was lined with a forest, that had a forest as the backyard, or like a green belt. We wanted a basement, and we were very clear on knowing those things. I was also very clear on knowing what our needs were for our family. So we're a family of 4. We have a 5 and 7-year-old. And schools were really important for us. So the first thing I did for our family is I looked at the school districts, and I looked at the schools that we wanted to put our kids in. And then from there, we did a periphery search. So it was kind of like backwards, but just knowing yourself and your story. So knowing, are we empty nesters? Do we have kids? Do we not have kids? And just knowing what your desires are and how you want to use the city, because there's so many different facets to the city, from being more towards the mountains to being within the city, within the downtown region, to being more into the rural areas. There's a lot of opportunity in all of the areas, but it's really good to know what's going to make you happy. For instance, I have a client moving up from Florida, and she's a tennis pro. So one of my things I asked her to do is look at the tennis clubs, and look at where you would want to work. And then from there, because she told me already she didn't want to commute. So I said, let's not look at the houses first, because what if you see your house, but it's an hour distance from, because it's easy to get an hour distance in the upstate, because it's spread out. And so she ended up getting a job. And so now our search has dialed into the periphery around that tennis club. And so that's what I advise anybody who's going to be moving into the area to do, is like really evaluate your life and what you're doing. And then we can, search from there, because all of the areas have such quaint, they're just so beautiful in their own right, but they're all a little different, and they all provide a little bit different. So, and also, whenever you're going to have change, just having a good perspective, about it, and knowing that things aren't going to be the same as how they used to be.
Right. You're not moving to have exactly the same scenario, right? There's always going to be some give and take there.
Absolutely. Like living in Bend, Oregon, we used to go hunt for a Christmas tree. So we'd go into the Deschutes forest, and we would chop down a tree, and it was like a whole day event, and it was really fun. Kind of scary at times, because there were times where we thought we weren't going to get out of the forest because we were stuck or whatever. But this time we went to a tree farm. Different experience. Was I going to be bah humbug about it? Heck no. It was just a different experience. And so I just come with an open mind, not trying to change Greenville, trying to contribute to it. Be kind, and know what you're, just basic, what your family's into, so that you can base your decision. Because we came here in a weekend and bought our house in a weekend.
I was going to ask that. How many times did you go out there to see properties? Wow, a weekend. That's a record.
The first time I had ever stepped foot into Greenville. And
wow.
I'm very faith-based on my decision-making, and from San Diego, I moved to Bend sight unseen. Man. And it was definitely like a very like heart-centered, heart-led move. Yeah. And it turned out to be one of the biggest blessings of my life. And I always believe that change always produces growth. When you stay in the same place, how are you ever going to grow? Because you're doing the same thing every day.
Of course.
So I grew so much in so many different ways that I was like, it was again a heart-led decision. And so we came out over a weekend. It was in March. And so the housing market was still insane.
Yeah.
So I had to do a lot of those crazy, things with taking out appraisal. I did the appraisal gap, and we went in really hard because I knew it was going to take.
Right.
We don't have to do that anymore.
No, thank goodness.
I just closed on a contract yesterday, and we were able to negotiate appliances, and price reduction, and it
Mhm.
was great. So you are seeing stuff like that,
Yeah,
more so just because of interest rates.
right. Of course.
But
It's
it's
going to
not,
drive a slowdown a little bit.
yeah. But I mean, the interest rates just had a little dip. So I'm excited to see, after the holidays, how the market pumps back
Yeah,
up.
same.
Uh, yeah. And I have an open house. I mean, I have a listing right now, and the feedback is that it's a little overpriced, but the amount of traffic that I am getting at my open houses is insane.
That's
I mean,
great.
it's insane. So the people are out. The people are
Yeah,
ready. The
and the
people,
serious ones especially.
yeah. My listing's a little more unique, and so it's gonna take a person, a
Yeah,
specific buyer, but it's
but
just
it's
great.
still thriving. Yeah, that's great.
Mhm.
Okay, as we wrap up here, I have always the same question to ask everyone that's on this, but I would love to hear some of the food spots that you would recommend. It can be food, it can be beer, it can be whatever your favorites are recommended by Rebekah. What are a couple spots that you would recommend to people if they're coming out to Greenville for any reason?
Yeah, so we live in Simpsonville, which
Hmm.
is city within Greenville County, and we love barbecue. So there's a place called Henry's in downtown Simpsonville that we love to go to. They have the best ribs that just pull apart off the bone. But outside of that, Simpsonville's, about 20 minutes from downtown. I always just recommend get onto Main Street in downtown Greenville and just park and walk around. There's so many beautiful places, restaurants. You definitely want to go to the Falls on Reedy, which is a suspension bridge that goes over a waterfall that runs through the downtown region. And
That's
it's just
on the thumbnail.
I mean, it is just so beautiful, and they just built this, hotel called the Grand Bohemian, and so what I love to do is I'd love to just park on Main, walk down the downtown region, window shop, go shopping, whatever, get some candy, local candy, go to the falls, and then I like to go have a drink at the, Grand Bohemian because
That sounds
it's right,
perfect.
it overlooks the falls,
Yeah.
so it's just at any point get down to downtown because that's really where the vibrancy of the city radiates from.
Yeah,
It's really cool.
that's amazing, and it looks absolutely beautiful. So, if anyone is looking for something in Greenville, South Carolina, or surrounding, of course, Rebekah is your girl. And tell everyone how to find you if they need to get in touch.
Yeah, you can just look at me or look up Instagram. I'm my underscore realtor underscore Rebekah. So I'm on Instagram. I have a YouTube page that I'm going to be consistent on. You're super motivating for me for that. Under Rebekah Wendlek. If you just search my name, Rebekah Wendlek, Greenville Realtor, I'll pop up all over. I have a Google My Business profile that's active. Or if you want to, you can email me at RebekahWendlek@gmail.com. I'm always
Perfect.
here to answer any questions you have. I'm always available. I love servicing my clients, and I'd love your referrals as well. If you have
Yep,
any
absolutely.
that's moving to the Greenville area.
You know it. And you will also be tagged in this video. So if someone is trying to get in touch with you, they can follow that little tree and find you that way as well. So thank
Awesome.
you, Rebekah. Stick around for a second. And thank you so much for watching today. If you like this content, want to see more relocation content or any specific stuff to California, make sure you subscribe to this channel. I will see you soon.